Is this the good chair?
That's the bet of what we have.
Oh,
I can use
it's better than that one?
This one's really loud. But,
Oh, really? Because this is pretty bad. Why is every chair, like, ancient? Like...
I guess that helps.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Swirlpool, the podcast made with 100% real cheese. I'm here with the Vortex crew.
I'm Grim Chorizo, and today I got my hair cut. So
It looks good.
Thank you. So instead of looking like a disgusting slob with long hair, I look like a disgusting slob with short hair.
You're going really hard on yourself. I think you are you're clean cut now. I didn't think you looked like a slob.
Oh, thank you.
It's fine. You look great.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys can't hear how good you look.
Plus 10 confidence boost.
Yeah,
Yes. All right, well, Fiend here, and my time working at Hot Topic when I was younger has never been more meaningful, or like, I don't know, like, it's never come back to me.
It's come
as
full
far
circle.
as this, as far as this episode.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
you guys are in for a treat.
And I'm Chris, aka Zompar Wolf, and Punk is dead, you guys.
Oh, Punk is dead.
Punk has been dead long before 2010, when this piece of art known as Punk goes classic rock.
Forgot the F on that art.
And let's just point out, these aren't even punk bands.
That's what. Okay,
I did a quick research.
they are not.
I didn't need to research.
Well, just like before we started this gig, just because I was curious.
Yeah.
The first album came out in 2000, I think it was. It was Punk Goes Metal. Yeah. Punk Goes Metal. And that was
I thought
more...
Goes Pop was the first
Nope,
one.
it was Punk Goes Metal.
Oh,
and that one was
fuck.
more... It had more punk bands on it. It was more of
Yeah.
like mixed between like...
Was it like Against Me and stuff
I
like
don't
that?
think they were on there, but like
Okay.
some ska, it was
AFI
third wave
was on
ska bands were on there.
AFI,
and,
yeah.
AFI was
When
on
they were
there. The
early.
Aquabats, and then some like punk bands from like 80s and 90s that like Guttermouth was on there and stuff like that. And then like there was like Newfound Glory. So that was probably like the most
Right.
when you it just goes worse from year
Dear
on,
God
like,
does it.
Yeah.
My first thought was like, who is this for?
Right.
This is none of these. This at least what I think of punk. This is but we will get into it. Yeah,
It's not even punk. Like,
No.
these are like screamo metalcore bands.
Metalcore. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And which is cool. Just change it to metalcore bands go.
But it
Doesn't have that same flow.
yeah, it's like kind of like a compilation thing. But yeah, so for show and tell, what did you guys try anything new? Listen to anything new other than this? Watch anything?
Chris actually gave me this as a gift for Christmas, and I finally finished it up
I don't remember.
last week. This past week, just a few days ago. It's called The Comic Book Story of Professional Wrestling.
Yeah.
And I started it back then, and I'd been, reading it a little
Making it
bit.
through.
And I was like, I'm going to finish this because I really want to. And it's really awesome if you're a fan of pro wrestling or not. It's set up in comic book format, and it goes over, all the way back to Carney days, like 1800s.
I was gonna say it's like 200 years old.
Yeah,
like
goes
insane.
into the 1800s about like how carnivals, how they would do, the
Tests of
sideshow kind of stuff.
strength and
Basically,
stuff.
but it was worked.
Right.
And then how that progressed through the years and, the different promotions, and obviously, the 50s, the Madison Square Garden,
Right.
Through the territories, and then obviously WWF absorbing everything into where we are now.
Gets into like foreign
I mean, there's a
stuff,
lot of,
too.
and it talks, all over the world, Japan, the UK, US, Canada, Mexico, all that, which is just really interesting, really cool to see it in such a cool art style with the comic book style. And there's so much that it covers in just that book alone that I learned a lot.
It's only a few hundred pages, right?
Yeah, a few hundred, and definitely worth a read if you're...
I want to borrow it now.
Yeah, you should.
I was kind of just waiting for you to finish it, and then I could borrow it.
It's awesome.
I just flipped through it, and I'm like, this is pretty fucking
It's awesome,
sick.
yeah.
Like,
Really cool.
a lot of detail in every like little frame,
Yeah, I didn't really have anything crazy this week. I guess our friend Robbie made me a sweet.
Oh
3D
God,
printed
yes.
axe.
That is fucking badass.
Oh,
so there is a
yes.
giant.
It's a giant.
It's like as tall as the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's
It's like at least 5.5
And
feet
it could
tall.
legit kill you.
Yeah, that is not LARP approved. Like that thing, when a 3D printer prints off a weapon, it makes it sharp as a like it is razor
Got like a
sharp.
spike on the end of it.
I don't know why they make it so because you were just like kind of messing around with it, moving it around, and it's like
Intimidating.
It could actually puncture skin. Like
Yeah. If you just a poke could do some serious damage.
Right.
You need to put some like tape or foam at the end of on that spike because you're just gonna like one day you're just gonna be like, hey, like just like take someone's jugular out.
Yeah.
God.
My show and tell. I've been watching the show. I got hooked on it. Because I go through phases where I'm like, I don't play any games, I don't watch anything. I just kind of like read or just work on.
I know
stuff.
the phase.
So recently, I was like, I discovered this show that's been out for a long time since 2015 called Adam Ruins Everything. It's really fucking funny.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, I think everyone's like seen the dude
Mm-hmm.
because he's just like kind of like a nerdy looking guy, and he's like he's been on College Humor and stuff like that. But I didn't know yet that it was a show. And then it popped up on Netflix when I was like looking through stuff, and I just started watching it, and it's like the most cathartic for someone who's like kind of a know-it-all like myself, and like also like I read all these things that are like, you know, this is why this is bad, and this is why this is good, and this is so like that's the show as him just basically being like, oh, do you like cars? Well, cars suck, you know, like it's it's really funny just because it's done in like a very and he like cites all the sources, so. It's like but it's done in a very funny. It's almost like Doctor Who.
I see.
Because he's like a time traveling like magical man who just shows up right as you're about to do something, and he's like, actually, that fucking sucks, and here's why. So I've just been watching that.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
Yeah,
You should check it out if you like things being ruined. And then you're like, oh fuck, that sucks. But then being like, well, at least I know.
He's got
that.
a point or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's like, well, now
good
I
stuff.
have to go do that. So thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of ruining things, this album ruined my night.
So I don't think we've actually. I mean, I know it's in the title, but I don't think we've actually said.
We said punk. I did.
You
I
said it. Okay.
Punk goes classic rock.
Okay.
Is that? And let's just be clear. So Fiend kind of got into it a bit because
it just like
no, but I'm just saying you have some history, like because you would be. Like you were when you worked at Hot Topic, you were exposed to this stuff over the radio waves.
I mean, we all grew up. We all went to the mall. It was kind of a hangout place. And the Hot Topic really probably took off in like the late 90s, 2000s. Yeah, it was probably. I don't know when it first started, but like.
I don't either. Was it in the.
But it was like
probably
this
the 90s,
cool, like metal.
It was like alternative stuff.
Store that was cool and.
It was definitely the 90s because the big trip pants. Like I think of like the Hardy wrestlers. Like they were like Hot Topic as fuck.
And all the mesh fishnets and stuff, shirts and
it was a cross section for punks, goth, alternative, like
metalheads and stuff like
it was
exactly.
and just
like,
you could buy cheap T-shirts basically.
So you know, it was cool to be there.
You could buy you could buy hair dye if you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, when I worked there when I was 21. So the store has changed with the scene.
For sure.
It was more. It became of more the Hot Topic, if you will, rather than like. I don't want to say non-conformist, but like the weird kids or something. You know,
just became more commercialized and stuff. And it's like anything, you know,
and which is cool. But so I got exposed to all these
compilation albums
bands and all these comp albums. And
now
that I think about it, I probably had listened to this because this was in 2010. So they had their own like Hot Topic radio and always play like Hot Topic radio songs like of the bands and T-shirts and stuff that were in there, you know, or what was the newest album of Pierce the Veil album, you know, it would play for like 2 hours and it would switch to like
a block of that.
Yeah, you know.
I will say this is like not a real album. It's kind of a cop out because we were trying to decide what our first thing is, but a compilation. This works well because we might not. I personally don't know any of these bands. But
as I said, I only know them through working.
You've seen the names on the shirts.
Yeah, and it's more of the names on the T-shirts. I couldn't name bands.
There's one band on here that I had heard before. All the others were just name. I recognized some of the names. I was like, oh, this sounds familiar. Like not the band, but the name. I've seen the name. Yeah, the T-shirts.
That's what I'm saying.
But I will say my point being like we all know the songs that they're covering.
Yeah, we do.
Because I'm like classic rock stuff. I mean, like a lot of the stuff.
That's my
the thing is, when you heard the name Punk Goes Classic Rock, what songs were you thinking were going to be on here without looking at the track listing? Like
Okay,
just
I
like
assume-
AC/DC.
Yes, yes.
like
AC/DC was the first
like
thing.
Led
Guns N'
Zeppelin,
Roses.
maybe Guns N' Roses.
and I just realized
like
getting the licensing rights to those probably costs a lot
Yeah.
more.
No,
Like,
sure,
So I was like,
sure.
no wonder they're
some
doing
of them
like
I
38
thought
special.
were cool. I found some of the song selections. I was like,
I have
oh, this
three.
is a good.
I have
classic
three
rock
I
song.
like.
I thought for sure it was like it's gonna be Back in Black and
Yeah.
like you said, like Welcome to the Jungle or whatever.
I think they do have like a Punk Goes album that's like 80s or 90s, and it's all
Okay.
a bunch of like random stuff from those time periods, but like
But just generally, I have to say,
or like
okay,
hair metal. I don't know, Punk Goes hair metal. That's
well,
almost or
this
like,
this
it's
felt
almost-
like
they-
hair metal. It
Yeah.
didn't feel these
Yeah.
bands. They don't sound okay. I don't know about you guys, but punk is raw. It's aggressive. It's like
screaming.
there was some
in your
scream, there was
face,
some
like
but it's like raw and like
Yeah.
not polished. This
Exactly.
sounded
For
this
sure.
sounded
Super polished.
everything sounded like the fucking Jonas Brothers. And
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
even joking.
No, you're
Every
right.
single song, even the heavy ones.
and nothing felt
Like Kelly Clarkson
It
or
didn't
something.
feel original. It just felt like some of them didn't have their own. Some
Spin
of
on
them
it.
did have their own spin on
Yeah,
it,
some of
which
them
was
did.
what made me really like the
It was
song
interesting,
more
yeah.
than I thought I would, because I was like, oh well, this is a cool take on it.
Right, but as
like
you said
there
earlier,
are some that are just like to the T, like played how
It's a straight
in,
cover.
in those
it was like a rock band cover, with a little heavier sound and a
With their
whiny voice.
Yeah, and their whiny voices.
Because
yeah.
this
I
album,
hate
this
that.
compilation, it made like Green Day sound like Iggy and the Stooges.
Yes,
That's
for
how
sure.
polished and
For
smooth it was.
sure.
Like the guitars, I was excited because I was ready for the solos to just be like, but they were the same fucking thing. Like they
Yeah.
played them note for note. It
yeah,
was like,
yeah, that's
it
what I'm
was like
saying. Like,
it's-
it was all like the solos were even the same.
yeah, I guess when I imagined in my head, I was actually disappointed at how, like, quote unquote good everything sounded, because everything was just so polished and
Right.
so sterile. All the drums sounded fake.
Right.
Like nothing sounded real.
Right.
And yeah, everything sounds like the Jonas Brothers. Like legitimately sounds like 2000s pop rock. Not even
Yeah.
pop punk. It doesn't
Right.
even sound
Yeah,
like
yeah,
pop
exactly.
punk. Nothing about this sounds punk.
Nothing
to
was.
me.
There was
Right.
one part I don't
Go
remember. I
ahead.
have it written down somewhere, but and we'll get to it. But there was one part with one what I'd consider kind of a punky drum beat, like da 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 for
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
10 seconds, and I was like, oh, here we go, and then it was gone, and I was like, that was the only thing that I was like, that was kind
Was
of.
that in
punk.
Paint It Black? I
No,
think,
it
or
was.
what?
I've got
Okay.
it here. I'll get to it.
Yeah, we're gonna run this
Yeah,
motherfucker
we're gonna try to
down.
run this
like,
down.
But, yeah,
we
I mean-
love the I love
But let's
breaking
just
down
make it-
music.
This is definitely metalcore, screamo,
It's-
emo.
yeah, like the
but it's
scene
pop. It's
emo
pop for
scene.
it's pop for scene kids.
Yeah.
Basically, like that's
And I
literally
get
what
it,
it
like-
is. Yeah, and my thing was that
I saw the little teenagers coming in
Right, with
to listen
their-
to all these bands.
Yeah.
You know, like
exactly. Yeah, and my
And I
thing
did
is
nothing
but,
punk
like,
about
it's
it.
just another. It's just another like click or another
Yeah.
like it's all the same thing if you compared it to any other type of pop music. It just the glimmers of hope for me were
Just
the times
shattered.
where there were actual screaming like the metalcore vocals, because
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow, there's actual aggression here. Like
Right.
everything else was so
Yeah.
fucking like
yeah.
unnecessary. I wrote down 3 words to describe this: indolent, inoffensive, inexplicable. I don't
The
understand.
3 eyes.
I don't understand why it was made. Like, who is it for? Apparently, the kids you saw.
Well, yeah,
I just
I mean,
don't.
like, yeah.
I'll tell you probably why.
I mean, I could see it made for the kids who've never been exposed to these
real punk,
songs,
yeah. Or the songs too,
these
yeah.
classic rock songs,
Right,
and they
right.
want to hear them, and like it's a way of exposing them to, because they'll hear
Sure,
these songs
yeah.
by the bands that
And then
they
they'll
like,
go back and
they'll be
maybe
like, oh,
listen.
well, what's the original sound like? You know,
My dad
Yeah.
listens to Journey.
Like-
I hate Journey, but
like,
this is good.
Don't Fear the Reaper, like
Yeah.
Bush or Cult, like
But yeah, like I don't know what were your guys' general feelings on it? Like for me, I just felt like I wanted to skip through so much of it.
me too. I did. I heard what I
Okay,
needed
yeah.
to hear.
And you got the gist.
And then I would like skip to parts that I knew like the
Yeah.
musical aspects. I wanted to see what they would do at these
With that.
parts of
Right,
the song.
I see.
Like
you know, there's like a big moment coming up, and you're like, how are they going to twist
or
it?
like the
yeah.
bridge of a song, or you know,
Right.
like
Well, yeah, because you
or
know the
solo,
song, you want to see what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and I felt the same way, but
So,
I listened
but like
to
I
every-
listened to most of them all the way through. It was the
Okay.
ones that I was like, okay, I'm over this. Like
Yeah, fuck this. And I had, oh my god.
It was like when it was like the ones that were like to a T, like
yeah, they
just
were
playing the
note
song
for note. Yeah.
and then I was just like, oh well, I can figure out the rest of the song. Like, I'm
Right.
just going to go ahead and skip through it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to change. Like,
I'm excited though because I think we all might have differing opinions on what is good and bad about
Sure,
the thing,
yeah.
and I might have surprising opinions on a few things, and I think it might be the same. for you.
Well, I'll say I just got to cover this before we get into it all because I would say it probably about almost every song, and I feel like it's almost low hanging fruit, but
Right.
the singing is obviously the biggest off-putting
that's the
thing
biggest
because
killer.
it's not my style of singing at all. The whiny
Yeah. I will say I like some whiny vocals, but this is a certain like I like a
sure.
Beach Boys whiny,
Sure.
like a kind of
but-
it kind of like it's kind of like it kind of like makes you feel like
like I'm
sad.
crying.
Like you said, the singing, the vocals are killer.
Yeah,
like and killer. I don't mean actually. Killer means good. It kills me.
Yeah,
like,
I will say
Yeah.
there are some parts with the singing that aren't that bad,
I've got
but
a
I'm
few
just
that I
talking
enjoyed.
overall. When the songs would play,
Yeah.
I would think
I would have
because
to block out the...
Well, I'm writing notes.
would be okay
and the
without
first
it.
thing I write is I don't like the singing or the sing's bad, and I'm like I could do this for every song basically. Now, there are parts that I actually did enjoy the singing, but. So I just figured I'd say that at the beginning, so I don't bring that up every time.
Well, I'm gonna still probably bring up the
Well,
vocals.
I mean,
I
yeah.
will too.
But
Yeah,
I
well,
agree.
yeah.
I completely agree that the vocal style of that
most of these.
It's why I'm
it
not
kills
into
most
that
of the
genre.
songs for me.
because I love
Yeah.
I love punk. I love metal. I love that type of. I even love pop music and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's just something about the presentation of vocals when they
Right.
sound
And I totally get that. Yeah,
so
me too.
nascent and immature. And it's in 70s punk was like that too, where like the snotty like singing where it's
Right.
like Johnny Rotten type
Right.
stuff or like Richard Hell. Like they all
Right.
sang. Like whiny little brats, but it was a different thing, There was
Yeah,
like rawness. to
yeah.
it. We better jump into this.
Yeah.
All right, so our intro track, More Than a Feeling,
Starting strong.
by Boston.
Okay.
And the band doing this is Hit the Lights, which, first of all, never heard
Never
of
heard
them.
of that one. No.
Never heard of Hit the Lights.
Hit the lights.
So, I gotta say, because this is the very first thing you hear, I will say, right as the song started, I knew we were in for a real treat.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
woke up this morning and the sun was gone.
Well, to be fair, that's the thing. Okay, to be fair, the whole song was literally note for note the Boston
Yes,
song.
it
was.
The only difference was the singer singing it with a whiny voice.
Exactly.
And they added like dun dun little like licks that shouldn't be there.
That don't need to be there.
I will
Yeah.
say this exemplifies the Jonas Brothers thing the most. I think of all of them, I gave them all ratings. This one, I just wrote meh. There was not. It's
Yeah.
just plain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just middle of the road. It's inoffensive. Like it's not terrible, but like you said, it's just.
Now, I
It's
wouldn't
just-
put it this way. I'm going to
Is
compare
this
a lot
punk
of
in
these.
2010? I just
That's
don't-
true.
Like,
Well,
what the
yeah,
I'm going to
fuck?
compare a lot of these songs to the original,
Sure,
and
sure.
I'm gonna
Yeah, you
and I'm
gotta.
gonna say I'm not as like if you do a cover of a song, I want some like originality to it or something.
Spice it
And-
up. Well, their way of
Or
spicing it up was those little.
and make it good, make it your own, and then I want to listen to it again. Like
Right.
I'm not gonna go out of my way to listen to some of
Yeah.
these songs.
Well,
again.
that was
Like,
my thing. Was why does
so
this,
I wouldn't go out of my I would definitely listen to Boston's More Than a Feeling.
I wrote surprised by how boring and how little they did with it. It was literally the same
Yeah.
song with a slightly different guitar feel. You
For
know what I
sure.
mean? And the drums.
And I
It
would
was
rather
lively.
listen to the original one.
I think that sums up this whole thing is just unnecessary when you have these classic
Right.
songs. But yeah, so Grim, what were your
Well, a few
thoughts on
things. First of all, I wrote down Pinch Harmonic City. There were a lot.
That's a lot.
it? A lot of squealies.
A lot.
Yeah, little
Which
squealies.
when I think pinch harmonic, I don't think punk either. Do,
Well,
I? Do you? Is that a punk thing? I don't think that.
So
but-
here's this thing. When I was getting into playing guitar and music and stuff, it was the early 2000s, okay?
Right.
Punk was like, pop punk was becoming a thing
Yeah,
with like
they-
Sum 41. I think of Sum 41, they were metalheads. They liked squealies
That's
and
true.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's
so,
true. So a
I
different
think
type of
they,
punk.
like pop punk a lot of it did include a lot of like metal.
Well, you got to think of all those bands, Offspring and all those other bands.
For sure,
They
yeah.
played Ibanez.
yeah,
Crazy
they
guitars.
have
Those
like the
are
shredder.
those are
guitars.
shredding guitars. Like,
Yeah,
from
so I think there's a huge crossover with metalcore and stuff, and that's where the squealies and the harmonics come in.
True,
'cause-
yeah.
And a lot of those were like almost just sloppy playing harmonics where it's like meh. It's like I said, it's
happens.
in just right in the very beginning of the song during that verse they're doing it.
So
they're all over the place.
And I like we were talking about kind of pronunciations and the way they do things, and I wrote
The
down
sun was
specifically,
gone. Yeah.
or the way he goes to start my day.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"You go by."
But that makes me think of maybe my only exposure to this kind of music because I just noped so hard out of of the scene that because I liked music. I mean, I loved rock music and stuff, and I went to Hot Topic to buy T-shirts.
That's what I'm saying.
But I didn't go there to hang out.
Yeah.
But a lot of people did.
A lot of people did.
And they go, but I think the scene is like something that I just was like, no.
Yeah.
It's like exemplifies that style of singing that I just didn't hear.
Yeah,
So when we
not
hear it, I
our thing.
recoil. It's like sun. I'm like Gollum and the sun is hitting me and I'm like, ow! Exactly.
I didn't listen to this for a reason. Like, God.
Because really it's super similar. Like also the main thing too with this type of singing that I think covers most of the stuff is that a lot of it is very, it's very not, like when Boston, I don't know the singer of Boston, but when they sing, it's kind of powerful and like has like vibrato and it's like, he's hitting this really high note and it's open voice and it's like powerful. It's like rock and they kind of just like are very like lilting into it. It's kind of like a nice gentle breeze. Not all of them are, but I can't believe I'm like it makes me pine for like more than the feeling. Like it makes it seem like awesome, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like
I like it. I like it.
I like it. I like it too, but it makes it seem way more badass than it really is, just in comparison,
Well, I gotta say, before we move on to this one, something about... So, when you compare this to the actual... I think one big thing is, this song, it almost feels like it just is nonstop, like it just like keeps going the same pace, whereas, the original, what it does is, the verse is dun, 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 and then dun, 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 it like picks up,
loud, quiet, loud,
this one just
thing.
keeps that dun, dun, like keeps that driving thing. There's only one part which... I thought was kind of neat. It does like an acapella part, which I'm a sucker for acapella music and stuff. So that was kind of cool. That was like the only part that kind of broke it up was it did like an acapella layered vocal thing, which I thought was neat.
That's why I thought, and we're dwelling on this because it's the first song, and it was so milquetoast, so we got but like we said, I was expecting the drum beat to be, and it just be fast, like Me First and the Gimme Gimmes or something.
Right,
like that is punk.
They are
blank,
punk
goes
cover
blank.
band.
Exactly. So
the greatest cover band.
This is just not that.
Exactly.
Track 2, Paint It Black, Rolling Stones, covered by Versa Emerge. Apparently never heard of them. All right, guys.
Because I thought it was Midnight Syndicate there at the beginning.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was like
sounded like a Halloween, when those buy for your Halloween party and it's just like a synthesizer and it's just like
Sure.
It caught me off guard. I was like, oh,
this whole song kind of caught me off guard. I enjoyed this one.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah, I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I liked this.
I mean,
one.
it wasn't bad.
I liked it.
I can.
It
see
reminded
how
me
you
of
liked
like because of the heaviness and like the tone of it. It really reminded me of like, and her voice. It really just reminded me. She's probably the most. I don't know.
This is a female vocalist.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a male and a
there's
female,
sure
right?
it's a female
There's a male too.
Okay, well,
isn't
because
it?
some of these songs I thought were female vocalists, and I looked it up, and they're
males.
dudes.
I know who
yeah.
I
A
know
lot
what
of
you're
those
talking
screamo
about.
bands.
Yeah, it
for sure.
surprised me just because I'm like,
I'm pretty
for
sure that's a chick.
I
was
thought
like,
there
man.
was, there's a female,
But
I
there
thought,
is a dude.
I thought there was both vocal.
I think it did.
male and
I think
female.
it
You're
did
right,
have,
yeah.
but it was really good. I like the darkness tone to it. Like it was kind of straightforward, but they did have their own licks.
Yeah,
I thought they'd
the drum beat was sick.
The drum beat was really cool.
I thought this is one of the ones that was changed the most.
They did
for their
change
own
them a
style.
lot.
Well, if you remember the original song, it's got like the doom doom.
Yeah.
Oh
doom,
yeah.
Doom, 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 doom. It
Yeah,
has like a
that's right,
Turkish
that's right.
kind of like doom doom doom.
Yeah, like-
so them changing it to this like
It's more straight. Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's,
like that.
it's
yeah,
punk.
yeah.
This actually sounded punk
for
to me.
sure.
Like not punk, but
And this
like
this would be
I
a
don't know how to
hard
word
song to mess up into a punk style because I mean
they would have had to try to make it sound like the original
because
with
it's the Rolling
acoustic
Stones. They're already
guitars and
like
stuff. But like if them using the weird synth sound, at least it was different. You know, it's
Right,
not like they
yeah.
used like. But yeah, I agree. I thought it was good, or not bad. I won't say good. I just thought it was not bad.
It wasn't bad.
And the ending is fucking
The
badass.
ending was
yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
For real, it was
yeah, I
good.
love the obviously the song itself already has the actual song has a dark kind of thing to it, how it's written, but this one, amped that up with like some techno-y elements, like you said.
Those I could take or leave. I don't really like those.
Yeah, like basically like you said, a Halloween kind of.
Yeah, it definitely felt like
It almost reminded me of like the Creep Show.
A little bit,
Her voice mixed with that tone of guitar.
Her voice was awesome. I really didn't like the male vocalist voice that came in. He was awful, but her voice was cool.
I really liked her voice.
It was like not super whiny, and when she stretched her range,
but that's okay for like a female vocalist to kind of have that.
It kind of just reminds me of the singer from Paramore. I mean, everyone just sounds like that.
I was going to say,
apologies if you like this type of music and you're listening. I have almost no touch points. I don't think any of us do. Like
none of us know any.
Yeah, so like for me, like Paramore is like what I think of when I hear this music, and that's like very mainstream, like very like popular stuff.
Yeah, I'll say, I think part of the reason I liked this one is it makes me think of Skillet, which I like them.
See, I didn't really listen to them much.
I liked them because it's got like the
heavy
male,
guitars.
female heavy guitars kind of thing, and elements of like synthy kind of like stringy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It also makes me think
Electronica.
of, there's a song, I've only heard one song by them, but there was a band called The Birthday Massacre or something like that. It kind of made me think of that. But I liked some stuff that they changed in this. Like they added like backup harmonies, which I thought were cool. Yeah. And one thing that they omitted and changed is that I really liked the harmony in the chorus, but they changed the way they did it, or there were certain choruses that just didn't have the harmony in those.
I see, yeah. The double...
Dun, 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 or whatever.
Just the higher harmony.
I like that, and they didn't do it or changed it their own way. And obviously,
all
ending,
the little things they did were... In the ending
that breakdown was the coolest
The
part.
breakdown
like
was
the
fucking
slow
sick.
down, like a sweepy kind of like...
Oh, yeah.
Well, it got kind of doomy, like almost like...
Yeah.
And it's like really like heavy, like big chords. So at this point, I was thinking, more of that. Like that it was good. You did something with it.
Yeah. They made it their own. Next up, Free Fallin', Tom Petty.
Boy.
And this is a band called The Almost.
That actually is so
fitting.
They almost got it.
Almost pulled it off, guys.
In that it was like the same fucking thing, just with drums that were like a little heavier.
Yeah.
And singing like... I actually don't even like this song. I'm
not a big fan of this song.
Well, do you like Tom Petty?
Yes.
Okay, because I like certain Tom Petty songs.
Yeah, I don't like all of them.
This one's take it or leave it for me.
Right.
But I've never cared for this song too much.
I have 2 words.
Okay.
Vocal fry.
Yes.
Holy shit, he's just like...
yeah.
Relax, jeez. And I'm just like... I'm like, no. Stop, man.
Okay, so for this song in particular, I was like, if you're going to cover Tom Petty and you're going to do this song, I was like, I was not expecting it to be how it was. I really wanted some more originalness
do something
to
with
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought of it, listening to it, I was just like, oh man, like this could, if like a real punk band and specifically like a horror punk band or something, they could just drop it and make it like a really dark.
You could change the, you mean reharmonize it.
Yeah, but kind of like how Typo Negative took Summer Breeze.
Sure, yeah.
Changed, like you listen to Summer Breeze.
Yeah, because then Free Fallin' means like
and
something
then,
completely
it's
different.
like, I don't know how exactly the original Summer Breeze, how like, I know it's not near as like crazy
like,
and heavy and dark.
Deep and dark,
And like he took, Peter Steele took that and just like
threw it into hell, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and I think just... You could reharmonize a song like this and just change... Because the chords are all like happy major chords.
Yeah.
If you change it, just change the chord progression and then sing the same lyrics and stuff.
That's exactly... Yeah.
It could be interesting. Like, that's
how I thought of it
too.
when I was like listening to him singing. I was like, man, you just like... You could have done this and it could have been great.
I don't think that's what they wanted for
I
this,
know,
though. They
but
wanted
like,
to be as close as possible because it's just...
I get it, but like...
I know.
I was just, man, I'm just...
Originality is
like,
not... This is a desert wasteland.
This is what I just was
that.
like, man, this album sucks.
This is booty.
First thing I thought when I heard this one is this sounds like something you'd hear at church camp.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up.
Sure.
They're a Christian rock band.
Okay.
I was like, this sounds like Switchfoot or something.
Actually, you know what?
I knew they were a Christian.
Now that you
can tell
mention
just
it,
by the sound.
I think a lot of these might actually be that way because there's a huge crossover with like alt
Metalcore,
like Yeah, in the 2000s, because
Went to
all
that.
of our parents dealt with us liking metal and rock by being like, oh, there's bands that play Christian music, but, it's not the same,
Yeah, we all went to that.
Well, the thing was, we would get dragged to these awkward sort of, quasi-Christian thing. And some of them, like, the bands were good. It's just, it wasn't what we were into,
Right.
but, yeah, that's interesting that it was a Christian
That's just the
band.
first thing I thought is this sounds like
Christian
church
rock,
camp
yeah.
music or
Ended up being
something.
a
Looked it
Christian.
up, they were a Christian band. Yeah, like you mentioned something about the drums. I really didn't like the sound of the snare drum.
It's because they're all,
It's annoying
I don't think it's
to me.
real at all. It's all sequenced.
And
right?
I also didn't, I didn't like it, but I really didn't like because they do like a slide down free kind of thing. Like they like slide down on free. They're like,
Your
know
vocal
what I mean?
performances are like they're good because they're giving us context, but they're almost like better.
Too
I
over
almost
the top,
want.
and
I
it's
just want to
great.
put them into the song.
we're gonna get copyrighted because I'm so spot on.
Yeah, you're just right on the
No,
money.
I had to point out the specific slide down. I just heard. I was like, ugh.
It's like, no, thank you.
We Are the Champions, Queen by Mayday Parade, which this is the first band that we were going through that I was like, okay, this band sounds familiar. The name.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about them. I don't know any other songs.
Listen to Queen.
Yeah, just listen to Queen.
What else is there to say?
Why listen to this?
It's just a whiny. If you're gonna cover Queen, you
don't.
made a mistake.
You
Like
don't.
you don't cover
Don't
Queen.
just cover Queen.
Like Jesus fucking Christ.
It's like one of those bands that you just don't.
Just stay away from it. Let the legend
Unless
be
you're gonna do
itself.
one of their like songs that
like a deep cut. Like this
Yeah,
is not
yeah,
a deep
definitely
cut.
deep
Holy
cut.
fuck!
Like-
Like
yeah.
Well, okay, this is also since it starts with just vocals. I was, you're used to the actual key, and this was lower, so right when it starts with the lower vocals, it already threw me off because I'm already
I didn't even
expecting it to
notice
be
it, to
the
be
actual
honest.
key. I didn't like I thought the piano the piano sounded bad. It sounded just like a fake Casio.
everything
It probably
sounds
was
bad. Everything sounds bad. That's the
Yeah.
problem. It's just not good. I mean, I just don't. I feel like it's just not even worth. Because my biggest thing was the solo was it was note for note.
That was like the
literally.
whole
How is
thing.
that a punk solo? Like if you're gonna do We Are the Champions, fucking punk it up. Like
this
shit on it.
This
Like,
was especially
yeah.
not punk.
Like, I mean, I just am blown away at how generic it was. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this one other than I didn't.
Fuck it.
Really
It
like
really
it.
wasn't that impressive. What was so? I know you were doing the ratings, and we haven't really mentioned it too
yeah.
much for the
Well,
other songs,
I will
but
say
what
this
was your
one.
rating for this one?
One's just middle of the road. It's slightly negative. Like
Okay.
it's just because some
Yeah,
of them are
I
so
wasn't-
bad.
yeah.
It's just not worth listening
Yeah,
to. That's basically
just
it.
listen to
Yeah.
Queen.
Exactly. Okay, this one is Rock and Roll All Night by the Somerset.
Originally by Kiss.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I have a lot to say about this. This literally sounds like the Jonas Brothers. It sounds like a Disney Channel.
Yes, it
like,
does.
God.
Like there was a thing called like Camp Rock. This
Yes.
is Camp Rock, basically. Holy fucking shit. Kill me.
Yeah,
I
this-
wrote kill me because here's the
No,
thing. I'm a Kiss apologist. I like a lot of Kiss music.
I like
This
some
is,
Kiss.
This is one of their least interesting songs, probably the lamest song, like one of their lamest songs, you know?
Right.
Like it's obviously super popular. Okay, you said on the last song, it sounded like it was a key, it was tuned
Yeah.
down. This sounds like it's like a whole octave too high.
Yeah.
Is that just me? What is going? I know it's a female. It's the.
Oh, is it a female singer?
Wasn't it?
I don't think that was female.
I don't think that's a female singer on that.
Well, I
song.
hate to assume their gender,
I'm pretty sure
but
that was a male singer.
The Somerset.
I could be wrong.
doing
it doesn't really matter.
Google
It's
search.
I
I know, but I'm pretty sure.
It was awful. I really, really fucking hated this. This was my first like holy
Yeah,
fuck
the-
negative.
I wrote
stars.
down,
Like,
oh God, I'm not liking this. Because as it was okay, and it starts off it has a spoken intro, which was just crazy.
Lead vocalist Brian Dales.
I'm gonna
They
call
do
that
have
a
a
man.
bass guitarist. Oh wait, no.
I don't really
the
care.
percussionist is. Jess.
I don't want to make fun of people's voices because I like singers with feminine voices and whatnot. I just legitimately thought it was a girl. But I'm just saying, like,
right. No,
it
I
was
know.
just awful for Kiss. It does not fit at all. And all the guitars, like, sound... It just... I don't even know how to put into words.
Yeah, to be honest, if somebody started playing that song, other than the intro where they say, I want rock and roll, dude, or whatever, if the song started playing, I wouldn't know that was supposed to be Rock and Roll All Night until the singing starts.
Right.
That's why I said Jonas Brothers.
It didn't even really sound like the riff at the beginning to me. And then they did this other thing.
Well, hey, they're taking risks.
Well, bad ones. They also did this thing where they added an extra beat, which can sometimes be neat, but that was...
I didn't even recognize that.
They add an extra beat at times, which threw things...
Oh, like a 5/4
Yeah, they did, like...
So it'd be like, well...
No, not like that. It was like going into something, so it'd be like... Dun, 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 dun.
Oh.
Dun, 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 or something like that. They just added
Here's
an
the
extra
thing. It just flew over my head because I think I was too busy.
I noticed that because I was like, don't do that.
You tried.
They also added applause at the end of their song, which is definitely generous because
applause?
they had applause at the end of their song.
You know, I think this is one of the ones I didn't listen to it all the way through because
I don't blame you.
I was like,
I envy you.
I was like, okay, I got enough. I don't even want to listen to the rest of it because...
Here's why they did that, though. I have the answer. The most famous version of the Kiss song is live.
the live version.
So they were literally doing it so...
That's why they had that at the beginning. Then, too.
Because it's like, all right,
I did...
we're going to rock and roll all night, party every day. And then, because that's the version that we listened to, and like our dad would have it on a CD, and we just listened to that live version all the fucking time. So like it's burned into my memory, and that's why this just... Fuck you. Fuck you, whoever this band is.
Yeah.
The Somerset, fuck you.
Caught Up on You, 38 Special by We the Kings.
Thoughts?
So when I was going through the songs and playing them, when I saw the title of this one, right away I wasn't actually sure what song it was.
Me neither.
So I actually I looked up the original first, and what I did is I listened to all these. I would listen to the cover, and then I would go and listen to the original But for this one, I started playing the original, and when I got to the chorus, I was like, oh, I've heard this song.
Yeah. Right.
But, I didn't think this was too bad. And I
like the original one of this song.
Yeah, I didn't think this cover was bad either.
It was pretty cool.
Part of it could be because this is one
caught
of
myself I was like, okay, I do kind of like
this. This is the one I said was the best one on the album.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, not bad.
And here's why. For me, anyway, it works well because the song itself works for this type of band. Yes. So it's pop
I
music.
agree.
It's a poppy rock, like kind of punk. It's not really punk though. It's not punk at all. It's just a pop rock thing. Right. Like it's just and here's the thing. I don't really like the original band singer at all. Mm-mm. But I liked the singing on this was weird. Like the part where they go to falsetto and it's like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, I actually like that. It kind of sounds like it sounds good. Like I was the tone. Another thing, the guitar tone was really good. Like everything was warm. Yeah. It all sounded like a real band.
Yeah.
The tone of everything was good. I will say though, it was note for note just the original song.
Oh yeah, sure.
But I almost liked it more than the original song just because
it did the song justice, I think.
Yeah, and for me, I just think it's not punk. It sounds almost exactly like the album, but if I had to pick what I would listen to again, right? Just for my ears pleasure, you know what I mean? Like, or I guess not pleasure, but not pain.
Right.
This was like right at the top for me, like probably top 3.
Yeah, I don't really have any negative. Really,
yeah, it was good. I mean, like
fine cover.
Yeah, they sounded like an actual band too, which was nice. Like
they added Cowbell. I don't think that was in the actual song, is it?
The Cowbell was super appropriate if it wasn't. See, that's the thing. It's the type of song where I would listen to it on the radio, like the 38 Special one, and I'd go, I like the song, but I don't like the performance, or I don't like the singing and the way it sounds, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So hearing someone else take it and just do it, I liked it a little bit more. Yeah. So it was good. I thought it was pretty good.
Agreed. Separate Ways, Worlds Apart. Journey, A Skylit Drive. So this was the only band that I had heard before this album. I had heard A Skylit Drive because one of my friends used to really like them, and he showed them to me because he thought I'd like them. And I don't remember any of their song names or anything, but I remember being like, this is pretty cool because they're like metalcore, but they have a vocalist who has an insane range. And I liked I kind of thought it was cool to have like really heavy stuff, but then you had like a really higher vocalist. I thought that was kind of unique. So
I was gonna say,
I went into this already being like, okay, I already kind of like this band in a way. So yeah.
For me, this is like right up there too. This is probably my second favorite one. It was like turns out I knew the song by Journey. I'm not a big fan of Journey,
Yeah,
so
right.
I went back and listened to the original. I'm like, this is actually this is probably my favorite Journey song.
No, I agree
because it's heavy.
It's a good song,
and it has a cool synth thing. I actually really liked what they did with it because it was metalcore, not punk. I have one critique though. This, out of all the songs on the album, was mixed or mastered really bad. It sounded like
this one reminded me of a lot
sounded
of
dead. Yeah, I could the voice a little, and some of the guitar stuff for sure.
I was kind of. You brought up the mixing and stuff. I was curious.
Mixing was bad.
You have a better ear and understanding of that.
But it might have just been.
I was curious overall when we kind of, you could maybe say how you thought the mixing was. Overall.
Well, I said overall, all these bands sound overproduced to me. This though, I think this band sounded good, but I think. Just in comparison to the other bands, I think like if I had just listened to an album of them, it wouldn't stand out. But it sounded kind of dead and lifeless to me. But I liked everything about the song, like all the instrumentation and the singing and stuff. Like, because I noticed we were complaining about the singing on this compilation a lot. Basically, the ones that stand out to me are the ones where I like the singing, like, the vocals.
That's true because it's a big part of it,
Yeah, but this one I actually thought was good. It's in my top 3 for like the best ones. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They played it because I was saying I went back and would listen to the original and the cover back and forth, and this one they played so much faster than the original,
and that's why it's so cool.
Yeah,
like,
because that's kind of obviously tempo. This isn't punk, this is metalcore, but they made it fit more on a punk
this is what
album.
Going into the chorus and it's that dun 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 dun. It just sounds awesome. It's really cool. Like it's really bad.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one for sure.
Yeah, what did you, Fiend? Did you?
Yeah,
agree?
I mean, I liked it. Yeah, I mean, there just wasn't a whole lot. I mean, you guys covered most of it, so
yeah, it's just better than the other ones. Basically, that's the thing. Like, even if I listened to this in a vacuum, maybe I'd hate it.
Right.
But the fact that it was in this pile
with all these other things
of garbage, it's like just poking out the top, and you're like, oh yes,
yeah.
This is a gem.
I also say
diamond in the rough. We say.
I meant to mention it the last song.
Sure. Yeah.
And Caught Up in You. Probably at that point on. I felt more comfortable with the song selection that I was like, these are probably going to be more bearable. Or
sure.
They might be good.
Or they might take risks with the sound of it.
Some of the ones coming up, like especially with this one, I liked it.
These two back to back were like, this is like, I think this was the high point of the...
and then and then we're getting to some of the other ones, so...
Right.
Yeah.
Your Love by The Outfield by Icy Stars.
Yeah, so this to me, I heard that chiptune shit, and I was like, fuck. I literally just said, all I wrote was bleh, or blech, actually. I don't like the original song.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of The Outfield. Mm-hmm. But this just sounded like Owl City at the Warped Tour, basically. Like it's,
I could see that.
Like with a whiny singer, but the electronica.
Oh yeah.
Because I looked this up, and apparently they're electronicore is how they're described this band. So like they use a lot of synths and stuff.
I see.
Not for me.
Yeah, right away.
I like some electronic and
like Anamanaguchi uses cool, like they're punk, synths, and then they have an NES playing or a Game Boy. But this was just like it was like Sandstorm.
Right. Yeah.
Someone was playing Sandstorm in the background of like this song, and I just didn't like it. Like
right away when it started, right off the bat, I knew I was not.
It was just like nope.
The breakdown parts, because the last song had some pretty killer screaming that I was like, I like that. This one had some laughably bad breakdown screaming
cringe
shit. There was a breakdown that was really bad on this.
You don't break down in this song either. It's like it's like a love song kind of, right? Yeah. Like I mean that maybe that's when you break down.
There was some serious this one had some really bad auto tune and shit.
It's the electronic.
It went for like a disco dance style kind of thing, and it just
electronicore apparently.
Like you said, I'm not a huge fan of the actual song either. I mean, it's whatever, and I didn't really enjoy this at all.
Mm. I didn't like this one. No,
it's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue Oyster Cult by Pierce the Veil.
So I will say, I said I don't know any of these bands. This was the only one I had heard a name.
I heard the name. This is one of the few names. I mean, some of these other ones I did recognize from T-shirts, but Pierce the Veil was probably the ones that played on the radio more. And then obviously their T-shirts definitely stood out more to me.
Right.
So yes, I knew of the band, and so I was kind of like, oh, I know. I
Let's see
kind
what
of
they
knew
do.
what to expect coming into this,
Okay.
as far as like how they sounded,
Right.
I guess, but I didn't know.
Yeah, well, I have to say, one of the biggest crimes. Where the fuck is the cowbell?
I wrote it down. Here's what I wrote.
That is
Here's
true.
what I wrote. There is a very deeply buried cowbell.
Wait, there is?
Yes, like they had to use it, but were embarrassed, so they put it
Oh.
low in the
The
mix.
fuck?
Oh,
I mean, that
didn't
makes
notice
it.
It's there. I heard it. I was listening. Here's the thing. This was my third top. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Because I'm a huge Blue
I
Oyster
love
Cult
Blue
fan,
Oyster
Yeah,
Cult.
this
and this
song
is one of my
is
favorite songs.
amazing.
It's kind of like I'm kind of like hypocritical here because this one didn't change anything.
No.
It was the same fucking thing, just different, heavier drum beat and a
They
little bit.
changed some things.
Okay, just a little bit, not a
Okay,
lot though. But also this was one where the vocals were almost insufferable, but somehow I liked it. I don't know how to describe it. I thought it was a female vocalist. It's not.
No.
It's
no,
a dude.
definitely a dude.
Sounds just like a fucking it blew me away. Like I was like, wow, that's a dude. And I
Right.
liked his voice. I like it's whiny and annoying as fuck, but
some people can pull it off and be okay with it, but some I just don't.
This one though, I will say that voice singing the lyrics just felt really weird. Like
Yeah.
it just didn't fit but my favorite thing about the whole thing was this amazing drawbar organ
Right.
underneath. I don't know if you guys
Oh.
noticed the
Well,
keys were really good.
yeah.
I liked it.
I think I heard it better. in my
Speaking of the
car radio,
organ,
I actually liked
didn't
it.
notice. I didn't notice it throughout the song, but I did notice at the very end there's a organ like solo thing. So I thought it sounded like
I didn't. I don't even know.
At the very end of the song, it sounded like a gospel organ.
I didn't hear that.
It was like doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. Like
I don't even remember
I don't
that. I
remember
think
that
I might
one.
have skipped the end,
that
but
was the
I
only
really
time I noticed the organ.
no. I liked it during like the main part of the song
Okay,
where
okay.
it would like do these big swells, and I thought it sounded
Yeah.
like it. I don't know if there isn't even if there's an organ in the original one, but I liked
Yeah,
I really liked it in this.
Yeah.
So this one for me was like kind of shitty, but I kind of liked it. So it was like
Yeah.
it's probably like up there for me, but like it was just too faithful to the original, I think, and also just it kind of grew on me as it went along.
Right. That's how I feel some of them went, and that's how I was like, I guess I kind of dig it. So it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
But I did like this one.
yeah. The part I really liked, I just remembered, is when everything drops out. It's the final pre-chorus, like before the everything drops out, and it's just a drum and the guitar with like
I remember that part.
It kind of sounded. That was like punk. That actually sounded
was like-
punk.
Yeah, and speaking of that, this
Yeah.
is the song I had written down. This is the song that actually did the double time punk beat kind of thing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say this one sounded the most punk to me. Like there was some
Yeah.
aggression in the voice because
Yeah.
like the dude apparently it's like now I know why like could barely sing those notes. Like there's like strain. It feels like there's struggle, and I'm like that made it a little more punk as opposed to just
Right.
being like because I think there needs to be some like aggression or something in it for it to really feel like it belongs on a punk thing. And I'm not trying to say what is punk and what isn't, but when you're marketing something literally as punk,
Yeah.
then it needs to kind of
Be-
cross some check some boxes,
Yeah.
you know, like, and this
Yeah.
one actually kind of did a little bit.
Yeah, I thought
sure.
that during the interlude or whatever you want to call the middle doo-doo-doo, that part with
Yeah.
the bridge, whatever. I thought the hi-hat there sounded kind of goofy
Sloppy, yeah.
to me.
It's like you couldn't really do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But hey, that's punk.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, at that point, you should just change it more, you know?
Yeah, this
Because
one-
doing that, like that part on the guitar, I'm like, it's just too faithful.
Yeah, I liked parts of this, but overall, it wasn't my favorite.
downer
It
for
was
you.
okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I gave it like 1 star
Yeah.
on my rating system, but that's better than like,
it,
There you go.
it was okay.
yeah.
Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne by Forever the Sickest Kids. Never heard of
Now,
him.
I heard this song before. It's the only
This
one
version
I've
of
heard. This version
Back
of
in
it.
the Hot
'Cause
Topic days.
I think this one was the one that stood out to me on Hot Topic because I was like, oh, this is kind of like a cool
Yeah.
take on Crazy Train. Like,
Yeah,
and it was
if you're-
definitely
as a fan of Ozzy, you were probably
Yeah.
like I actually know this.
And I didn't care so much the way he sang it, except until the chorus came when he had the double vocals going on or the harmonies kind of.
Yeah, the harmonizing was kind of good.
And I was like, that really reminded me of like Ozzy and the song.
Yeah.
And so but then like when he would sing the verses, I thought it was like, I was like, okay.
The verses were the low point. For me, I immediately just said nope when I heard that weird electronic thing at the beginning. I don't even remember. It was just like a weird, but once the riff hit, I'm like, okay, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of music for like NXT or something.
Double drums.
Yeah, the double
hits.
It really does sound like it would be like a theme, like an NXT or wrestling thing, because like it's that
with
mix
the
of
air
like,
whips and stuff in it.
It's got like like it has the fucking heavy guitar mixed with like a synth and then like kind of like heavy drums.
Right.
I didn't like it overall, but I did like the outro.
Yeah,
I thought
the
that
outro was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the first time they kind of took a risk with it and did some cool like weird.
It was another one that was very straightforward.
And the beat also, they fucked with the beat, like the rhythm.
Yeah, well, overall, listening to it, it sounds... To me, it just sounded fake and kind of like soulless.
That might be their style.
Too, yeah.
I think a lot of these bands, like all their stuff, kind of sounds
very
a little, like very polished.
But you can say that about quite a few of these.
Most
But
of
this
it,
one, I
yeah.
remember just listening. It's like feels just like lacking the soul.
Sure.
Something that, well, there's two. I love the actual song. Obviously, it's a classic. It's a legendary song.
Yeah.
And two of my favorite parts are things that they actually changed. So in the verses, Crazy Train verse bass line is one of my favorite bass lines ever. And they didn't do it. They changed it.
That little descending thing.
Yeah, they didn't do
We're
that.
doing way too much doo-wop.
But
on
then
this.
also the pre-solo, I guess, whatever, if you call it, in the chorus, or not the chorus, pre-solo drum part, the I know that things are going wrong.
Yeah,
they didn't do that either. They just went or something. It's like they were like, yeah, fuck that. We're not gonna do that.
But they're doing like more. They're doing like
it,
the metalcore fills. You know,
I'm just saying those are two of my favorite parts of the song, and they didn't do them. So that was another thing I didn't like. There was no vibra slap, whatever.
Well, they did do the like
did
that.
the eyes,
I wasn't really into that.
It's
just it sounded goofy. I think is the best way to do it. Like
it
kind of the singer reminded me of the singer from like Bowling for Soup.
Oh,
you guys know what I'm talking?
yeah.
He's like he's got that like blah, 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 like that kind of singing voice, like very cartoony. You know, like,
I can see that.
Yeah, I just said. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard, but I just prefer not to hear it again.
I would rather listen to Ozzy's.
Right, but that thing at the end where it goes.
That was cool. Yeah,
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yes, we get it.
The dissonant guitar thing. I did like that.
Yeah, the little ers.
Yeah. Everybody, you need to hear me just do a really bad reenactment of it.
Well, we're getting plenty of it, so they're getting it.
Pour Some Sugar on Me, Def Leppard by The Main.
Oh, Jesus.
So, what do you guys got to say about this one?
I've got to say, I fucking hate Pour Some Sugar on Me.
I hate the actual song.
But I love it now because it made me, like, appreciate things they did.
Song.
It made me appreciate how, like, at least the original song, like, it's like, I don't know how to put it. Like, even if you don't like it, it's like, it makes sense. It's like sleazy, disgusting hair metal.
Yeah.
That's just, it exists in time. It's its own thing. It's like a sculpture of a dick, right?
Yes.
I don't want it in my house. I don't want to, but like, wow, that's a dick sculpture. It's good.
Right.
So like this,
That is a good dick sculpture.
this is someone they sculpted the dick again. Why would you do that? And you did it worse. And holy fucking shit!
That's a bad dick sculpture.
Another one. It was like that guy who tried to fix that painting of Jesus.
The Jesus. It was an old lady.
Oh yeah, old lady.
She painted. She's like it needed refurbished.
Refurbished.
And she just painted it.
I was like, what?
So I wrote. Okay, I'm just gonna write what I wrote. This fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Fuck. That's all I wrote.
That sums it up, actually. But yeah, it sounds... This one was them covering the actual song, which I already don't like, so I'm not going to like this.
Yeah, same feelings here.
They added a different guitar solo part. They didn't do... They took out that... thing.
Arguably the best part. No, I don't know. I'm kidding. I have no...
That was
I know
just
what
one
you're
thing
talking
I
about.
noticed that they did change, and they had like a layered a cappella vocal part, which I said I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Didn't really like it.
The part they nailed is the whoa. That sounded spot on. But I have to say, here's my thing with a lot of these songs is they sing and it was the same with Blue Oyster Cult. Like they would sing words like come on baby, not baby. They say baby. Like they say it weird. And the way they pronounce things and slide, like you were complaining about that big slide in the one. This one is just full of that shit. Like just trying to change things. And the way he sings in Sugar, like pour some sugar on me. Like it's like dun dun dun. He went dun dun dun. He did like a little blues note there, and every single time I got creepy chills. It was like pour some sugar on me, and it was like this little sliding thing, and I was like, fuck you. And it was like with that little like
maybe that was a artistic choice.
It was, and it was
wrong.
It was awful because it was like it's like I don't know what these people are or what they're doing but like this is a song where covers. In the 80s you could be like people thought this was sexy. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they did. I certainly can't fathom it. But when you're covering it and you're trying to sound like sexy. There's no, like, it's just creepy. Like, it gives me the heaves. Like, that little note was all I needed to feel bad.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think? Did you,
I mean,
I didn't actually notice.
I didn't collect too many thoughts because I heard the song. I'm like, well,
you're just like fuck this, right?
And it was just like I could just listen to the original song and it'd be like the same. Like I'm not.
Yeah, that's like, I think that's what our takeaway here is. This shouldn't exist. Like what the fuck?
So and nothing really stood out to me that I wanted to make a point on in this.
Yeah,
one, I was just listening to it. I'm like, whole time I was like, oh, this is mostly just the.
Same fucking
it's the
thing.
Same song, like
just
worse. And I get that, like if you're a tribute band, like
I think what you said earlier was that like you cover. They wanted everything to sound really similar, so that it was like introducing young people to one of all these bands that they want them to buy their shirts, and then two, the old music that they'd never listened to otherwise. Ugh.
All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix Experience, by Envy on the Coast.
So I have to say, at least they're doing weird shit in this and changing things. Like the singing is god awful. Like it's very crazy. It's not punk though. It's just insanity. It's just noise kind of like. But I really like it's psychedelic. They're using weird guitar effects. Like I just listened to the guitar the whole time. And as someone like we've all heard All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix about 8 million times.
Yeah.
So
it's actually one of the Jimi Hendrix songs I don't like because it's overplayed so many times.
But you know every note of the solo, right? So you could hear they were doing the solo, but it wasn't note for note.
That's true.
So like they would go around it and kind of like flow with it, and then they would change things, and it sounded like they were using like whammy pedal and shit.
Probably.
They're going like. Pew!
Yeah, I noticed they
actually
like dropped like dive things like
which I
didn't really like the.
Well, I wouldn't listen to it, but I'm saying at least as a cover, they were doing something.
Yeah,
I think I was just so beaten down at this point that like we were talking about, the biggest crime is to not change anything.
Right.
Like, so, yes, while I would never go out of my way to listen to this, I think as an interesting cover, at least it was interesting.
Yeah,
like,
I enjoyed the guitar player. It was definitely stood out to me in this one.
Yeah, this didn't really do it for me, but it's all right.
Not a good commercial. Like, this would be one that I think the people that this was aimed at would just hate.
Yeah, I think that's
But for me, someone who, like, I listen to a lot of noise, I listen to things that most people would not want to listen to. Like, I tuned out the singing, which I thought was abhorrent, and I kind of just enjoyed listening to the weirdness.
Basically what I tried to do in most of the songs.
Just, like, be like,
oh, God, like...
What's the good thing in this? Like, what's the...
I know they're not just bad because of his voice. Like
yeah, for sure.
The last thing I would point out is one of my favorite parts of the song is just the intro. It does like, when it actually picks up and starts up, there's like a little delay, kind of like drum thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean?
I noticed that
They
too.
kind of tried to do it, but it didn't have that same feel as like the actual song.
It's like an extra beat in there, right?
Yeah,
it's like a 5/4
that's what
measure.
I love the actual
original
song,
one.
and this they didn't omit it. It just didn't have.
I don't think it was deliberate in the original song.
Oh, really?
I mean, maybe it is, but I just think maybe they were just playing. They were just. I mean, I guess it'd have to be deliberate.
I thought it was deliberate, and I just liked it.
But they just like fucked it up, basically. What you're saying.
It just didn't have the same.
It like glossed
feel.
over. Maybe it wasn't as tight. Like it wasn't as tight. Oh fuck.
Take Me Home Tonight, Eddie Money, by
No.
Every Avenue.
The
intro, they kind of did that whole like
Whispery.
and like the boxy sound
Radio.
of radio.
Radio.
Like,
It was ASMR.
yeah, and like,
Hate it.
and I didn't care for it. But once the music kicked in,
It just
It
sounds
was-
like the song.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was more enjoyable, like musically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was okay
I
with
could
this one.
listen to this all the way through because
Agreed.
I
thought
wrote
it was
first
okay.
5 seconds. I really don't want to listen to this. Like you said, it got better.
Right.
But how much better? So you said you liked it. So
Well, I
first-
wouldn't say I liked it, but I would say it was okay.
Okay.
I guess if I had to choose like or hate, I would say like.
It's on
But
the negative
I
scale
have
for me,
things
but
I
not by
didn't
much.
like about it.
right, I agree.
I didn't like the female voice in this at all.
So here's the thing. That's the
a
thing.
female.
The-
I thought that was a male voice. I'm pretty sure.
no.
No,
Okay.
there's a female.
So
'cause-
the
well,
original
actually-
song, the Eddie Money song, they got Ronnie Spector
Yeah.
to do that beat because her song in the '60s was "Be My Baby, Be My Little Baby." So they literally just brought in like it'd be like bringing in like Aretha Franklin to just sing like one of her famous lines, like
Right.
R.E.S.P. Like it'd be
I
like
didn't
that.
realize that was why she says that line.
Yeah, well, they say just like Ronnie sang. That's the
Okay.
lyrics. So just like Ronnie sang.
Okay, that
and then
is-
she's like, "Be my little baby."
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I
'cause-
didn't know what the lyric was there.
No, that's
So
what it is.
That explains a lot more.
It's the
okay.
she was, Ronnie Spector, huge, like the,
Yeah,
the Ronettes.
okay.
So, but the problem was with this song is once again they're just trying to recreate. So they just get some lady to try to do Ronnie Spector and like with the
She's
little like
really
the rasp,
and
like
she's really going on like,
be my little baby,
Yeah,
like that, and it's just like,
not,
ugh.
not working.
It was bad.
Yeah, this one was an overall downer for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But but also I fucking don't like the song, like the original song. So
I don't love the actual
Yeah, I
song,
don't
but
love-
it's fine.
it's an alright
so this
song.
one to me would just sounded like kind of
It's
listening
one of,
to
I would
it.
hear it on the radio and be like, whatever.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
just let it play
80s
through,
radio
yeah.
rock
Yeah,
for sure.
so
yeah.
so I would say I didn't love it, but it was fine. Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen by Never Shout Never.
Why don't you just listen to Queen?
Just listen to Queen. Don't
Yeah,
the
all right.
balls on this person.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Just
well,
start.
the thing is, we mentioned it earlier, and about
Yeah.
We Are the Champions. First of all, I mean, Queen are, legendary, but I don't think any band on a compilation like this should have 2 songs by the same band. That's already
you
little-
broke a rule, I think. Like there's
And
a rule
Let
that you don't
alone
do two
a
Queen.
song like
Bohemian fucking Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Like I would have
It's
loved to hear a
nev-
punk cover of like I don't know like even like Bicycle or
Yeah.
like Fat
Yeah.
Bottom Girl, and those are both
Fat Bottom
super.
Girls would've been
Yeah.
Those
really
are
fun to
super
do.
popular
Yeah.
songs.
You
too.
you don't cover Bohemian Rhapsody, one of the most iconic and most karaoke'd songs ever. Like when people are like just busting out singing a song.
I think you
it's
just cracked it.
Bohemian
This is
Rhapsody.
like shitty karaoke.
You don't
like-
do that because you're never gonna do it justice.
Right.
And
no.
okay, the first thing I wrote down about this was, oh God.
I wrote why. I just wrote why.
Because
all
the
caps.
vocals start in and the harmonies, I mean, they just sound bad.
Well, I said maybe a song that is almost entirely dramatic, operatic singing shouldn't be sung by someone with a weak ass voice like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like this, whoever this. Okay, so I did do some. Before we rip this apart anymore, I did some research. So Fiend, before we recorded, he said you knew of this band.
Yes,
Okay.
from working at Hot Topic, I saw
Exactly.
the T-shirts, and from what I understood, I thought it was just one guy.
It was a solo project that became a band.
Okay.
Apparently, is what I read.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I looked him up.
So I remembered him as like a solo acoustic-y guy.
He's a man named Christopher Drew, and he looks like this.
Yes, that's how I remember.
Sorry,
him
listeners,
looking.
but
Looks
holy
about
fucking
right.
shit, he looks like a Gelfling from the Dark Crystal.
He had that fucking. I can just picture him like fucking flipping his hair to the side, twitch.
Yeah.
Like I had to
Because he's flipped his hair so much.
This is a song you just don't cover this.
Yeah.
you
Don't
know?
touch it.
I there isn't a lot to say. It's note for note, like other than it lacking soul, like
Right.
Yeah, well, okay, other than just how they're singing it, they also were rushing the lines, you know what I mean? Where they're like, is this the real life? They were like, is this the real life? Is this just, like, it feels like they just went right into it.
He was playing with it, and it's
Yeah, well, I don't play with it. just don't play it at all.
Just leave it alone.
But that's the problem, is you shouldn't have touched it. And
Yeah,
and it's like a
And
relic on the shelf.
And that's the thing, I'm not the type to like revere like classic, like obviously I do, but I'm just saying like normally I'd be like, yeah, who gives a fuck? But this is just so bad, and it's so like I just feel like the guy who did, I don't know, do you think that the Punk Goes Whatever company, do they assign the songs to people?
I don't know.
Or do they like say
They probably give them a list of songs
to
and
choose from,
say
and-
choose from this
yeah.
list
like
of
we
songs.
could get these licensing
Yes.
things? Because my thing is with this
That
is
my
like,
guess is I don't know.
can
for
you
sure.
imagine just you have to have some like you have to think of yourself as more like you have to think you're awesome,
Right.
to say I can do Freddie Mercury, right?
Yeah.
And to do this song and to kind of just like kind of phone it in, it sounded like. I
just like, oh yeah, just half-ass it. It'll be fine.
I get that it was probably shitloads of work to track that, because I mean, just listening to the song, it is insane. It is a rock opera in one song.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that they didn't do a lot of work to record this, but it just doesn't feel like. I think it just comes down to just it doesn't work with the dude's voice. Doesn't
Sure.
work. It sounds bad. I
Right.
mean, there's not much else to say other than that
Yeah.
it sounds bad and it doesn't work.
Yeah, especially the
And you
line.
fucked up
but
by
now I've-
deciding to try it.
to
Yeah.
try Bohemian
Yeah,
fucking
the line-
Rhapsody.
But now I've gone and thrown it all away. Made me want to puke the way they said it.
This kind of sums up all the things I hate about like scene music from that time period of like just that voice, that tonality, that whiny, nasally, weak voice. When if you try to do a guttural sound or something with emotion in it, it's just there isn't any.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
empty,
I can-
devoid. And for a song that is this full of so many like powerful vocals, you know, it's almost like the worst possible choice is to do a mostly a cappella song.
Yeah,
Right.
and with that, like when listening to it, it honestly sounds like some of the harmonies. It sounds like they didn't even actually try to learn the parts. Like
No,
it's like
it's-
they're like going by ear. Like yeah, we know it. It'll be fine. Like I honestly don't
sounded
think some of them
sour,
like
yeah, like-
just didn't feel like not just the intro ones, but like later on.
It was like
just-
limp. Like whereas the original one is very crisp and like everything is like punchy and like just it's almost like you know it's one guy singing everything
It
times,
is,
20
yeah.
times or whatever. 60 times probably. I'm sure someone knows all that. This just sounded rough. It sounded really
Yeah,
rough and
it was rough. And I actually, while listening to it, I had to check. I went to look at their set lists to make sure that they do not play this live
And they do,
never
do
have.
they?
They don't.
Oh God.
Because I was going to say,
This would be
thank God they
impossible
don't.
to do live.
While I was listening to it, I was like,
with
these
backing tracks or
fuckers
something.
probably play this live every show and think it's
People
their
get the
fucking
crowd to
God's
sing
gift
with
to
them
earth
and,
that
like-
we can do this song. They don't, though. Or at least setlist.fm doesn't show it. So
Okay.
That's
thank
good.
God. And the final track, Dream On,
Sweet merciful God.
Aerosmith,
We
by
made it.
Bless the Fall.
Bless the
That's
Fall.
all one word, folks.
Yes, one word.
I'm gonna jump the gun. This is my number one my least favorite
your
song.
least
Yes,
favorite?
for sure.
It's not mine.
Okay,
I'll
that's
say.
fine. I'm just saying
No, I'm just saying.
I grew up. My parents really liked listening to Aerosmith.
yeah.
I
love Dream On. It's a great
listening
song.
to Aerosmith, and I like this song. You know, and Steven Tyler it's Steven Tyler. I mean, he's got his
He's got a voice.
unique
Yeah,
voice.
signature
He's got a
voice.
big ass mouth.
And a big ass mouth that probably lets him hit those notes.
Yeah,
that he
probably.
hit, you know, like, and yeah, like going through the song, listening to it, I'm thinking the whole time, like, okay, well, you're singing whatever. I don't like your voice, but decent singing, not too
For
bad.
me, it was like everything else. Like,
It was like he had that at the end where they start doing the dream ons, and he's got a good. It's a decent, powerful, booming voice that he's got. But then he goes to the really high, like, you know, like fucking, and like his voice, because he can't quite hit those notes. The volume just goes, and you can hear it even in the recording.
Gotta go into head
And I was
voice,
like, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, listening to it, you could tell that he was struggling to hit it.
My thing was, I can't believe this is the last song on the thing.
That
It was
too.
It was just such a huge.
That too.
Like, because to me, like, the moment I hear the guitar at the beginning, right? The iconic, right?
Yeah.
Like, this sounds like the song.
Yeah.
And then just everything drops away and it's just him singing, and I'm like, no, it's gonna be like a hello darkness.
Yeah,
my old
like a
friend.
Sound of
It's like
Silence.
they're trying to make it sound heavier and weightier,
More dramatic
and
than
more
it
dramatic
really
and
is.
deeper than it really is. It's like an Imagine Dragons syndrome where it's like, let's just have like a booming like. And then they do the marching like and I'm just like, you're trying to make a song by Aerosmith that is a great song, but you're trying to make it sound like a trailer for like a movie where everyone dies on the in the
Yes.
entire world. Like
That's spot
it's so
on,
overly and also the instrumentation was empty. It was just completely barren. Like there wasn't anything happening. It was just like little tinkles of like a synthesizer and like drums and stuff. Like it got heavy late in the song.
Right, yeah.
And then it was really heavy. But my problem with it was, taking it was so far up its own ass. Like so far up its own ass.
Yeah.
Like ridiculously. It was just awful. Terrible end to this mostly terrible.
And we can only say we each probably had the same 3 or 4.
I don't know. Because you
No,
Graham,
I'm gonna say I didn't hate this one.
Okay, I'd like to hear your
honest.
apologist
I
for it.
didn't love it, but okay, the guitar intro, I thought it wasn't bad, but it was missing something. I couldn't put my finger on it exactly, but it sounded like just not there. Here's the thing. It's after listening to it again, it is a little hypocritical because I hate the Sound of Silence by Disturbed. I hate the
Let's have a symphony.
Five Finger Death Punch or whoever does the Gone Away, and they're trying to make it so dramatic and like
but think about this. This is 10 years before that.
Yeah, this feels like that.
This is like Imagine Dragons
I feel like,
to me.
that with that in mind, I should completely hate this, but I don't hate it, but I don't love it. But I thought that
redeeming?
I
That's what I
thought
wanna
this
know.
one may have done the put your own spin on it thing more than anyone else.
You are right.
Sure.
This
was
is
the
definitely
most
the
different.
one that they changed it their own. I actually thought the marching style thing was kind of cool.
Reminded me of the Black Parade a little bit.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I just know that.
Here's my problem.
Yeah, it is like
my
that,
problem
yeah.
isn't with the sound of it. It's like the feeling that they're trying to convey.
No, you're right. They are making like a bigger deal than they
I get
are,
it. But I agree. I agree with your point that this was the most transformative.
They took the biggest
when you want
risk.
a transformative cover, which I think all of us love when we hear a cover and it's like, whoa, that blew me away.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to throw out there that just came to me because you were talking about covers and stuff. And I just said the Black Parade. My Chemical Romance does a sweet cover of a Desolation Row on the Watchmen soundtrack.
You're right.
And it's like a punk fucking song.
Right. And
I
I like
they should have
NPR,
done.
though. I mean,
I know,
yeah.
but like they should have been on some of these.
They probably couldn't get a lot of those bands.
The fact that if anybody hasn't seen Watchmen, it's a good movie.
I bet they looked at who was on Warped Tour that year and were just like, how can we
For
sell?
sure, right.
Like, I almost guarantee it. But yeah, Grim, back to your ideas.
Yeah. So it also went like Linkin Park after the first
yeah.
chorus, which I thought was neat. I thought this song built up really nicely.
It
starts
build.
out,
It did build.
you know, whatever. Then
That was my criticism.
It built, and
was-
by the end, it's big and epic and.
Too epic, maybe.
It got really intense with like strings and backup gang vocals, and I thought, yeah, you're right. He did drop off volume wise, but he hit the notes.
He hit it. No, he hit it for sure.
And his
you could
voice
just
cracked like Steven Tyler.
You could just tell it was right at the
Struggling.
top of his range.
Yeah,
That was.
you're
it
right,
wasn't
you're
like
right.
it was bad. I just didn't feel like it was as strong.
Yeah, my thing
And also,
is,
there's a real quick. There's a huge irony. The irony isn't lost on us over analyzing the fuck out of all of these songs that are not meant to be analyzed.
yeah.
We are literally breaking every song down so hard as if we were listening to classical music. But we are all love music, and we challenged ourselves. We wanted something goofy. It ended up being, honestly, I ended up liking 3 songs a lot more than I thought I would. So.
yeah, I thought it was fun to listen to.
Yeah,
you know?
but I'm just saying we know how pretentious we sound. Like,
breaking down these covers that these
didn't
bands
put
probably
anything
spent like
one day,
you know,
minutes
just
on,
like learning it and then recording it right then and there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get way more pretentious with other albums. So this one at least was
This
like
was just
fun and
our
goofy.
first you know,
Yeah,
thing to do. We wanted just something fun.
yeah.
So punk goes classic rock. Overall,
It went
was
there.
we listened to it. It was a fun journey.
It was a thing.
And so some of the songs, like we said, were just straight up just the song covered. Like Pour Some Sugar on Me, We Are the Champions, you know, and then others like Dream On, Paint It Black, Don't Fear the Reaper really put their own big spin on it.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of both, but I want to know, what are your guys' least favorite and favorite tracks of the song?
I kind of already
Of the
talked about
album.
mine, so
Of
I'll
the
get
album.
mine out of the way. I have to say, I pretty much already said, I thought my number one, the one that I thought just stood on its own, if it wasn't on this, I think it'd be okay, was the Caught Up in You cover. I thought it was good. It sounded good. Then my second favorite was Separate Ways, Worlds Apart. I thought that was really good. That might even be tied for one. And then my third favorite was Don't Fear the Reaper.
Okay.
Because I just felt like those, I could listen to them in a vacuum and like take something away that I enjoy. I can't really say that for the other ones.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my worst favorite?
Yeah,
the
sure.
least favorite? All right. My number one was Dream On. I thought it was really awful and a really bad ending to album. Nothing about it was punk at all. What is
No,
punk
there was
about it?
nothing punk about it at all.
So that's another thing too. I'm weighing like how punk everything is.
That
because
too, yeah.
Well, yeah, that was especially not
We're looking
punk.
at it as punk goes.
number two, tied with it though, was Bohemian Rhapsody. It's so fucking bad.
Terrible.
I just wrote pretentious, awful, unnecessary. Why? And then Pour Some Sugar on Me was my third one, just because it made me appreciate the original song, which I fucking hate.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, RocknRoll All Night. That fucking was so
Yeah.
bad. So that's mine.
Okay.
That's mine, and
Alright.
it's all out there, and I stand by it.
Okay. Fiend, do you want to go or you want me
Yeah,
to?
sure, I'll go. So I think I'm with Chris on this one. I think my favorite one was probably Caught Up in You. I thought that was really good.
It's just a good pop
Yeah.
song, like,
Yeah.
and I like the voice, like the
Yeah.
weird, the falsetto.
And then I'd
was
probably
good.
say I really liked Don't Fear the Reaper and Crazy Train. I felt like those were really good ones that I could listen to again as well.
they have like replay value
Yeah.
for you as opposed to the other ones where you're just like.
And I already heard
burn it.
Crazy Train one. And I
Yeah.
was kind of already was like, oh, I kind of already liked that one.
Right.
Anyway, so.
Yeah.
And it was one that, yeah, it is a song that I might replay it just to like, change it up or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as far as like
Low
the
points.
worst ones, they're probably all mostly pretty bad though.
Everything
That's
else.
the thing. Everything else. Yeah. That's
Well,
the thing.
yeah.
No, but here's the thing.
Bohemian Rhapsody was really bad.
Oh, God, yes.
Dream On was really bad. I didn't care for Free Falling at all.
I know. Well, here's the thing.
Like
But the ones like Free Fallin' and More Than a Feeling, those were just so unremarkable. That it's almost like you just forget they're on there.
yeah, and yeah, I think those were
The ones that stood out.
definitely the ones that stood out.
All right, my least favorites. I'll do two for each. Two
Okay.
favorites and two least favorites.
Yeah, I went a little overboard.
My two least favorites, Rock and Roll All Night. Fucking hated it.
It was so bad.
That was so bad.
It sounded like it was. It sounded like it wasn't like the song didn't even exist.
I hated
in the first place.
basically everything about it.
Yeah, it was.
Your
terrible.
Love also sucked
Okay.
so bad. Your Love and Rock and
that
Roll All
was.
Night.
I was gonna say that
terrible.
one too. But
Hated them both. Bohemian Rhapsody was fucking awful, but at least I could like kind of laugh at how bad.
I
it
think
is.
I was just offended personally. Like I think it actually like offended me like in a very like.
And I will say about Bohemian Rhapsody, and you know, I'll say overall, I thought the musicians here, like the instruments,
oh yeah,
are talented,
almost
good.
immaculate playing.
Good.
Almost it was too good. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Punk.
Nothing
I'm
about
sorry,
the
but
playing here.
It's-
They're
they're not.
good.
punk rock
Punk.
needs to be a little bit shitty.
Yeah.
It has to be. And the thing was this was shitty in all the wrong ways. It wasn't shitty in the way that makes punk awesome.
right.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just only listening to like old punk music. I think that's the case. But like even if they had gotten like you guys mentioned, some of those other bands, like we mentioned AFI, we
Yeah.
mentioned what was the other one you said? MCR, like
MCR. Well, like Aquabats were on the first one. Like
yeah, I think it's just as
some of the
as
like,
punk
ska bands and stuff.
as
you
punk taste changed it through the 2000s and moved towards this hyper commercial,
Right.
super polished sound. That's what they got, and
Right.
it's just not punk to me, and it's not listenable to me either,
Nope.
really. So
Nope.
Yeah, so least favorites, Rock and Roll All Night and Your Love.
yeah,
Favorites, Paint It Black for sure.
yeah,
I loved
okay.
it.
It was good. Yeah,
And Separate Ways. I liked both of those. Those are the
Cool.
at first I originally said Paint It Black was the only one like I would go out of my way, and I'd actually listen to that again.
I did like
but
that
I would
one a
do
lot.
that with Separate Ways too. Those are the two that I enjoyed listening to them,
What was
and
that?
I would willingly put them on again and wouldn't hate it.
Who
There's
was
nothing else.
Painted Black by Versa.
Versa Emerge.
Emerge,
I like
okay.
that a
Well,
lot.
you should go check out their
Yeah,
actual
maybe I
albums.
might
should.
have to listen.
The
to
thing
more
is,
of that
these
one.
bands, their actual music might fucking rip, and we just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm being generous here. I'm saying
I'm judging you from across the
What I'm
chairs,
saying is-
like,
well, Fiend, you've actually heard
what
the
I'm
band.
saying is,
We
what I'm saying
haven't.
is, just hear me out. What I'm saying is that when they're writing their own material,
Sure,
it
yes.
might be them in their element.
Right,
Whereas when
that-
you're doing
yes,
a
I get
shitty
you,
cover,
yes.
like it's them like trying and failing. You
yes,
know.
I get you. I feel
So
you there.
I'm not gonna listen to them, but I'm just saying maybe
Yeah, I probably
I
wouldn't.
might be missing out on something.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, it's kind of neat how we all had our own different
Yeah, it was fun. doing
thoughts.
that.
You know,
This
the-
was an experience, one that I think maybe in the future, a long time from now, we'll visit some other punk
Punk goes, yeah.
But
Could be
I think
fun.
we're gonna maybe do some more serious, real albums, not compilations, and because we are huge music fans. If you couldn't tell from us, just tearing this thing apart, like you gotta find your own enjoyment in these things, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so
Well, thanks for joining us on our journey through
Our first-
Punk Goes Classic Rock.
our first musical foray.
It was a fun time, and we hope you enjoyed as well. So, plugs?
Yeah, I mean, we are The Vortex. We have a YouTube channel. This is our podcast called Swirlpool.
Yep.
You can find us at youtube.com/grim with 2 M's, chorizo, spelled like the sausage.
Yep.
And you can join our Discord there. There's a link. We're going to keep bouncing around different media forms. Like, obviously, this was our first music one. We have tons more ideas. If you want to follow us, you can follow me at Zompire Wolf on basically everything. I don't really use it, but it's worth throwing it out there. And then Graham, what's your stuff?
Yeah, so you can follow The Vortex on Instagram at Enjoy The Vortex. Occasionally, try and post some stuff on there. You can follow me at Grim Chorizo. And of course, Discord, YouTube channel. Check them out.
So yeah, keep on swirling.
Keep on swirling!